I'm Jim Tucker. I've chased Bilderberg for 30 years, and I'll never give up the chase. Bilderberg plan for the whole world is nothing less than world government. They are the elitists. They feel they should run the world for their own selfish interests. We are the unwashed multitudes. The first 20 years of my working life was with newspapers. I was night editor to the Washington Daily News till it folded up in 1972. Became editor of a small daily in Martinsville, Virginia. Then the Akron Beacon Journal. I previously served on the Richmond, Virginia Times-Dispatch. Found myself being interviewed by Willis Carto of Liberty Lobby for the job of getting pregnant and creating a weekly journal called The Spotlight. He asked me what I thought about Bilderberg. I said, who are they? He gave me a brief summation. And I said, that's not possible. I spent 20 years with daily newspapers, the wire tickers, AP wire machines, the Reuters, UPI, ticking in my ear. Such a group could not exist without me knowing about it. He said, well, what'd you think about it? And gave me some material. I was dumbfounded. And then I was outraged that this could happen and have such a total blackout in the at that time in the press throughout the world. 100% blackout except for Westbrook Pegler and occasionally a 3 or 4 paragraph innocuous item in a local newspaper when they met. And since then, I've been chasing those turkeys every year. Initially, I was not covering personally. We had correspondents in Europe. If they're meeting in Europe for economic reasons, the guy in Europe would pick it up. Or if they're meeting in North America, we had a Canadian correspondent. Well, I was pretty much desk-bound as editor of this Spotlight. But then I started doing it myself because I wanted more information to come out of the meetings. If the public knew what was evil was taking place behind those guarded gates, the public would be outraged. Bilderberg would be paralyzed. These evil men are the evil elite of the world. We are the unwashed multitudes. They want to make the decisions that affect us, enrich them, and enslave each of us. Bilderberg succeeds, America falls. All the victimized countries lose their sovereignty. Ignorance is their greatest weapon. And today we have the most formally educated but the most uninformed generation in history. The newspaper industry's own studies show that only 49%, slightly less than half of adult males read even one newspaper a day, just one. You're in the minority if you read a newspaper. But it was in Helsinki about 1996, I believe it was, when our readers from Helsinki, not many readers, of course, with the expense of the postage, they tend to share the Spotlight with each other. And the readers, we had it so early, we had an advance story. The paper gets across the Atlantic. They read it. They mail back first-class letters saying, should we alert the media? Why didn't I think about that years ago? I said, yes. So the local newspapers, TV outlets, radio outlets were all there to greet the Bilderbergs as they landed. It was heavy page one treatment with photos, and since then it's been heavy treatment in the European press ever since. Now here in Canada, there's been extensive coverage of this Bilderberg meeting. Heavy photographic attention to proper questions raised, very good stories. The blackout is still almost 100% in the United States. Bilderberg has a history of trying to intimidate reporters. A year ago, Danny Echelon, the journalist from Spain who's collaborated with me and others for several years covering Bilderberg, we double team them, we pool information, we share information, we turn over the rocks and let the worms crawl out. They grabbed him when he got off the airplane, gave him a complete shakedown, and thought they took all of his magazines. They do photograph their enemy. Years ago in Turnberry, Scotland, one of our readers was driving me up to the gates of Turnberry for the ritual of being officially refused entrance. And the cop sped out, stopped the car, and explained for a private meeting. It's closed for a private meeting, but he wanted the driver to identify himself. I was starting to protest. This is a place of public accommodation. Why does this guy have to show you his driver's license? But my driver had already pulled his license out. So after that ritual was over, I said, "Officer, my name is," and he said, "Oh yes, we know who you are, Mr. Tucker." They take photographs and pass them out to the local cops, which is the only way they could know. And the year before that, in Italy, near Milan, about 40 miles, little town 40 miles from Milan. Then he asked me, "Will please come with him because the commander wants to see me." I said, "Well, I'll have a cab coming. We'll take you back." So they drove me about 30 miles to some cop shop, and I was never behind bars, but they asked me, "What am I here for?" I said, "You know why I'm here. I'm here to cover Bilderburg. I will cover Bilderburg. I will expose Bilderburg." This goes on for a while. Then, "Can I see your credentials?" Well, I do have a card issued by the cops. It's a little Mickey Mouse press card that I carry now because my credentials were taken away under orders of Senator Mathias some years earlier, my congressional credentials, because I'd swiped his portfolio at a Bilderburg meeting, and they punished me by lifting my credentials. But the little police card was enough to satisfy them. I've infiltrated Bilderburg by going through drain pipes, hopping over hedges in the darkness of night with the driver paid to wait for me with the headlights off and the motor not running, or idling very quietly. On one occasion, having found out where the hotel staff drinks this beer after working hard all day, the ground crew thought this was a lot of fun, and they gave me one of their orange jumpsuits and a rake. And so I was helping rake the leaves around Bilderburg while listening and observing, and maybe a piece of paper that needed to be picked up and thrown in the trash can went in my pocket instead. I think it was in central Portugal. I'm still dark at night, paid a guy to keep his car idling at a very slow pace, go over the wall and head toward Bilderburg. And I heard cops yelling some movement, so I started running back. Now, let's not be too dramatic about this. Those sharpshooters would have got me if they wanted to. The shots, about 4 of them, must be 20 feet above my head. Their only intention was to intimidate me, and they succeeded. Bilderberg's ultimate goal is a world government, for the United Nations to evolve into a world government, and they're making progress, and we must stop that progress. Bilderberg was founded by David Rockefeller and the Rothschilds of Britain and Europe. They're still the main powers. All year long, I'm pursuing Bilderberg in one way or another. So if a Bilderberg luminary is at an event, I'm likely to appear too. On one occasion, I was standing at Henry Kissinger's side, wearing my Bilderberg suit, so I'd fit in. I just said to him, "Dr. Kissinger, at the Bilderberg meeting last June, and I named this date, precise spot, this white-haired old European said such and such to you. What was your response?" Some question like that. It took him so much by surprise. He looked at me, his eyes big. He said, "That was a private meeting." Then he called himself, "That was a private meeting." His German accent is a complete affectation. He's been in this country since the age of 14. He served in as a corporal in the American Army in World War II, honorably as far as I know, but I don't know anything else honorable about the turkey. But he's such a pompous ass. He is Dr. Kissinger. He has the same PhD in economics from a snob school just like David Rockefeller. But David Rockefeller is Mr. Rockefeller. Kissinger is Dr. Kissinger. He really takes himself seriously. Well, the reason they want such absolute secrecy, in their ideal world, there'd be no airtime, there'd be not a drop of printer's ink spent upon them as they arrive in their limousines with the shaded windows, hats over faces, or in their helicopters. They don't mind so much because you can't see them get off the helicopter. But they get all this effort for secrecy because evil is performed in the dark.